Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. Мы с вами в эфире и продолжаем вебинары Travel Connection Union. И сегодня наш вебинар посвящен такому прекрасному составляющему любого путешествия. Это еда и вино. Называется он Wine and Gourmet Talks. И вместе со мной этот вебинар сегодня проведет Александр Ванюков, генеральный директор компании Sunny Travel, компании, которая всегда создавала туры для тех, кто любит именно эту составляющую путешествия, вино и вкусную еду. Александр также является совладельцем компании Travel Connection Union, и мы рады приветствовать его в эфире. Александр. Покуда Александр к нам подключается, еще раз хочу напомнить, что мы с вами ведем запись нашего эфира, и мы пришлем вам ссылку, по которой вы сможете еще раз пересмотреть запись нашего вебинара. Вебинар сегодня будет в основном на английском языке. Александр будет комментировать выступления наших спикеров. Александр.
Доброе утро, да. Здравствуйте.
Александр, добрый день. Еще раз представлю. Александр Ванюков, генеральный директор компании Sunny Travel, Travel Connection Union. Александр, вы у нас сегодня основной, скажем, спикер или партнер тех, кто выступает, наших представителей и прекрасной страны Хорватии. Поговорим мы сегодня именно о хорватских винах и именно о хорватской кухне и тех отелях в Хорватии, в которых есть не только прекрасные номера для проживания, но и отличное вино и еда.
Доброе утро, добрый день, дорогие коллеги. Если вы помните, первый такой Wine and Gourmet Talks у нас был посвящен Бургундии. Вот. И так получилось, что после посещения Черногории и Хорватии, и после знакомства с хорватскими специалистами, и после того, как была возможность продегустировать хорватские вина, мы решили все-таки сделать по Хорватии. Остальные вебинары, которые мы делаем, эти talks, Wine and Gourmet, они ведут разработки. На конец августа намечена Тоскана. Там уже есть принципиальная договоренность с DMC, с отелями Wine, резортами о проведении такого. Но сейчас...
Но сегодня, Александр, мы с вами говорим о Хорватии, да? И как вы сказали,
сегодня...
для меня тоже могу сказать, что Хорватия, особенно хорватские вина, были открытием, да? Когда вот на нашем мероприятии, которое мы проводили в мае в Черногории, да, нашим партнером был офис по Дубровнику, который для дегустации привез прекрасные хорватские вина. Не только мы, но и многие участники нашего мероприятия были удивлены, причем это удивление было именно в хорошую сторону, тем, какого качества Хорватия производит вина.
Да, согласен, действительно потрясающие вина. Особенно мне очень понравились вина, которые я попробовал, была возможность с Хвара. Вот, поэтому у нас сегодня присутствует несколько спикеров, которых я бы хотел представить. У нас владелец и директор Taste of Dalmatia, это DMC, Luxury DMC, который специализируется на винно-гастрономических турах, Нена Константинович.
Он нам расскажет, Александр, о каких-то программах, которые совместно с вами можно реализовать в Хорватии, да?
Да, он, в общем-то, сделает такой... Вообще, мы будем говорить, может быть, где-то на двух языках. Сейчас я на русском, но потом как бы с ними англоговорящие. Поэтому наш такой вебинар, он будет и русский, и англоговорящий. Но с хорватской
вы, Александр, будете комментировать, задавать вопросы, да, поэтому я думаю, что нашим слушателям все будет достаточно ясно.
Да, у нас Taste of Dalmatia DMC, который специализируется. У нас еще два отеля. Один это Маслина, это на острове Хвар, Зоран Пежович, директор по развитию и сооснователь Хвар Вайны. Такая, видимо, ассоциация. Он более подробно расскажет про Хвар, про Маслину. И еще у нас, будет Менегетти Wine Hotel and Winery. Это в Истре находится. Отель Риле Шато, и у нас выступит, значит, Антитеквич, менеджер по продажам этого отеля. То есть мы бы хотели как бы вот немножечко вас ввести в курс дела по Хорватии, хорватским винам, типам винам, значит, и отели, где можно попробовать вина, где можно, собственно говоря, отдохнуть. Ну а сейчас давайте перейдем тогда к Taste of Dalmatia.
Да, перед Taste of Dalmatia приглашаем нашего первого
Нено
спикера.
Константинович. Нено, да. Подключайте к Нено. Он подключился, нет?
Нено подключается, да, минуту, вот он в эфире, да, я передаю вам.
Yes. Hi, Neno.
Hello, good morning.
Good
morning. How are you?
Very good. Yeah. So, okay, we are looking forward for your presentation and to understand a little bit more about Croatian wines.
Great. So, how is it? I'm waiting for someone to screen share. Yeah. Okay. Just checking. Is it working? Sorry, yesterday it worked. I don't know now. Okay, so good morning to all of you watching us on this presentation. My name is Neno Basic Kostadinovic. I'm the CEO of Taste Dalmatia. We are a company based in Croatia, in Split, with a couple of offices in Croatia. We are a family-owned business with more than 15 years of experience. And we are specialists for tailor-made travel in Croatia for small groups, a luxury, with special emphasis on culinary and wine heritage of Croatia, which I will explain a bit, give you some introductory points in the presentation. I'm sorry, I'm trying to, yeah, okay. So as I said, who we are a family-owned company. That means that we cherish personal contact and personal relationships with all of our partners. We work mostly with like 99% with agents and agencies all around the world, and we are members of several associations, as you can see. Our main brand is Taste Dalmatia, which is specialist for culinary and wine travel, but we also trying to change the slide. Sorry. Yeah. Our also second brand is Dalmatian Heritage, which specializes in cultural and historical travel in Croatia, and that office is in Zadar, so both on the coastline of Croatia. So then we go to the country itself. What is Croatia most well known all around the world? It's basically the coastline, it's the amazing weather we have, it's the 1,000 islands. It's all of these things that you think of when you hear the name Croatia. Of course, you know, all of the sports success and sporting stars coming from our country. But what about culinary and wine heritage? And that's not something that travelers first associate with Croatia, but that has been changing in the last 10 to 15 years. And in that regard, Croatia is still a completely undiscovered country, undiscovered land. And most of the travelers coming here, when they return, they are really surprised about the quality of food and wine that they experience here while they were staying, and in some regards, they didn't expect to have that quality. And that's why they return, or they give great word of mouth recommendations to other travelers. And this is an area which has greatly improved in the last 10 to 15 years in Croatia. So in terms of history of wine production, Croatia is part of the old world of wine. It like, you know, all other Central Mediterranean European countries like Italy, Spain, France, Greece. Greeks are the ones who basically brought wine production to Croatia, organized wine production more than 2,500 years ago with their first colonies. There are some historical and archaeological sites that suggest that wine was produced even before that, but organized wine production came with the Greeks. 160 indigenous wine sorts so far, and still cataloged even more. Croatia has a huge diversity of wine production and a lot of traditional wine sorts that have been produced in the area for many decades and centuries. And that has been a blessing and somehow, you know, it's what is responsible for the huge quality of the Croatian wines. It's a very small production, volume production, you know, comparing with Italy and Spain and France, of course, but it's a very high quality wine production. And as I said, centuries of tradition have brought that. Again, amazing conditions for wine production in terms of sun, in terms of terroir, and all of that has all complemented the knowledge that the people have about the wine production for centuries, and in turn has brought great wines to our country. This is the map of Croatia, and if we consider just the wine regions, we have two main ones on the coastal area, which is Istria and Dalmatia, and then we have Croatian uplands and Slavonia in the inland Croatia. Each region has its own distinctions and history and wine sorts, but I will just say a couple of main things about each region. So we have Istria region, which is probably the most well-known area of Croatia for wine production and most well established as a culinary destination in Croatia. The main wine sorts there are Malvasia and Terran. Malvasia shouldn't think of as Italian Malvasia. It's a different wine. It's a lighter, fresh, acidic wine, summer wine. It complements great with Istrian traditional foods and a lot of pastas and fish. So it's a wine that it's easily drank during the summer heat, and it has a very well established following in Croatia and around the Europe. Also very capable of producing very high quality award-winning wines. The red wine, which is produced in a smaller percentage in Istria, it's called Terran, and it's a lighter red wine, more acid as well, and the reasons why the wines like that are in Istria, because it's a completely different terroir. Istria is usually called Tuscany, as it once was, because of all the truffles and wine. And we have a colleague here from Meneghetti Hotel in Istria, and he will talk much more about that. I won't go into details about the things that they do. But also the distinction of Istria, inland Istria, it has a more continental climate and less sun than southern Dalmatia. When we move to southern Dalmatia, you know, we think of all the islands, extreme heat in the summer, very dry summers. So the wines there have more alcohol, are a bit heavier, more rounder. So the most well-known wine varieties are Plavac Mali, or small blue, or little blue, however you want to translate it. It's the most well-known red wine in Croatia, and it's a heavy, big wine that complements heavy dishes, meat dishes. As I said, it has high alcohol and it's very high tannins. In terms of white wine, the most famous one is Pošip, which is again strong alcohol, a lot of alcohol, well-rounded, fruity wine. So it's like a great contrast to Istrian wines, which are more summer light wines. The trend now in Croatia in wine production with the winemakers is also in the Dalmatia to produce lighter summer wines with all the different varieties that we have in different areas. I'm mentioning just a couple of here because it would be just too much information with more than 100 and as I said, 60 wine varieties. But the change that happened in the last 15 years in Croatian wine production in terms of travelers and tourists arriving is that there has been a huge investments into wineries, into tasting rooms all over Croatia. So Istria was the pioneer in that regards, and was the first region that started with that culinary and wine tourism. But other regions of Croatia are picking up really fast, and now you can basically travel in every part of Croatia and experience very high-end wine tastings, high-quality wines and experiences in the wineries. In continental Croatia, if you remember the map, we have two main areas, which is one is Slavonia and the other one is Croatian Uplands. Croatian Uplands is the area around Zagreb, north of Zagreb. It's a very hilly area, also very traditional in terms of wine production, but most of the wine sorts there are, you know, European wine sorts, and it's very famous region now in Croatia for producing sparkling wines. Very great, high quality sparkling wines are coming out of there. Slavonia, which is the continental flatlands bordering Hungary, that's actually the highest volume production area of Croatia in terms of wine. The biggest production of wine comes from there, the wine variety called Graševina, which is basically Welsh Riesling, which is a common Central European everyday wine. And that wine, again, it's very common in consumption in Croatia. A lot of people drink it daily, and it's actually as I said, the highest volume wine produced in Croatia. And that wine also allows to be produced in a high volume, but also high quality, and we have some excellent winemakers there. One of the main interesting things as well is the story of Zinfandel grape, which is the most famous wine sort in United States. And as a you know, detectives looking for decades the area where Zinfandel originates, it was always studied that comes from Italy, from this wine sort Primitivo, but actually through DNA testing it was proven that it comes from the area near Split, and the real name is Crljenjak Kaštelanski or Tribidrag, but it's a very interesting story, for those who are really into wine and know their stuff. It's kind of interesting to find the origin of that American wine. In terms of culinary heritage, like all wine regions in Croatia, they are all accompanied by their distinct culinary and food history. Continental Croatia was influenced mostly by Central Europe, you know, Ottoman Empire, which was bordering us for centuries. And then we have the coastal area, which is almost pure Mediterranean, with that distinction that just behind the hills, which is very close to the coastline in Croatia, was the Ottoman Empire. So you have a great combination of east that meets west and the Mediterranean, fish that mean and meat traditions, and Croatia also has made great strides in the last years in terms of Michelin restaurants and high fine dining, and all of that was being developed in parallel with the wine production and wine tasting rooms and wineries that was being invested. So right now, every year we are getting more and more Michelin star restaurants. Right now we have 7 Michelin star restaurants in Zagreb, in Istria region, in central Dalmatia, and down south in Dubrovnik and on the island of Korčula and Pag. So who knows, maybe next year when they are announced, we will have even more. Traditional taverns, those are like Italian tavernas, and those Croatia again offers a spectrum from traditional food where you can eat very high quality traditional dishes, all the way ranging to Michelin star restaurants. This is very traditional dish you can see on the picture for the area where a colleague from Meneghetti comes, which is pasta and truffles. And these are some of the staples of Croatian cooking. One of the foundations, of course, is the olive oil, which has also been produced in the area like all the Mediterranean countries for thousands of years. It's the one thing that connects all the regions on the coastline, and very high quality olive oil comes again from the Istria region and has been awarded for years in a row as the best olive oil region in the world. But olive oil is also produced all the way down south on all the islands, and it's one thing that it's the, as I said, the foundation of our Mediterranean cuisine. Truffles, amazing truffles that are being discovered all over the coastline, even south, and not only in Istria. And as I said, fish, Adriatic Sea has a abundance of fish, and amazing fresh fish is caught every day, in combination with meat traditions that are being brought from Central Europe and East. That brings a really interesting combination of, as I said, Mediterranean and continental food in a very small area. Here you can see again, olive oil tastings, fine dining for Michelin star restaurants, or just simple oyster tastings right from the sea, where one of the best oysters are found in Stone area near Dubrovnik, where you go on the sea and pick them up right there and taste them. Of course, picking up olives. The whole story of Croatia, I think, is in that entire spectrum that you can visit the old Mediterranean and try to combine that with fine, high-end, modern olive oil, wine production, or just Michelin star restaurants. And in that regard, you can experience everything in between and get a real picture of Croatia, history and culture. Combining that with thousands of years of history, amazing weather, and the scenery, Croatia really has a whole package that can be brought to clients. Right. Here I'm just putting some of the most well-known areas and pictures that come to mind when you think of Croatia. One is, of course, Dubrovnik, which is the jewel of Adriatic and probably more well-known than the entire Croatia. It's one of the places where if you haven't been, you have to go and marvel at the old town. Of course, we have a number of national parks. One of them is National Park Plitvice, lakes in the continental Croatia. It's a huge amount of Croatian surface is protected with mountain areas, rivers, archipelagos of the islands, or just an island like Mljet or Bijuni. So it's really the natural diversity of Croatia is also astounding in a small area where basically you can cross the country with the car in a 4 or 5 hours from one end to another. You really can see a huge diversity of continental climate and scenery to Mediterranean. The biggest city on the coastline is Split, and the second largest town in Croatia. Again, 1,700-year-old the Roman palace, still being populated by the people. But most importantly, Split is a great basis. It has a great a great new airport, and connecting flights all over the Europe. And it can be a great base to explore middle central Adriatic, going down south to Dubrovnik, or north of the Adriatic to Istria region and Rovinj, which Istria is on a completely other level than rest of Croatia still, in terms of high quality of hotels and resorts, food, wine, all of the companies that high-end travel luxury. And of course, we have a colleague here from Maslina Resorts, and there are new properties opened every year, and the rest of Croatia is fast catching up to Istria in that regards. So I thank you for your time. I didn't want to expand too much, give too much information. Hopefully I made a good overview introductory in terms of wine history, food history, and what Croatia has to offer in all of those areas.
Okay, Nina, do you see me now?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, I have a few questions actually. First of all, a very, I would say, interesting for me. Okay, Croatian wines are very good. That's really, I can testify to it. But I haven't seen that Croatian wines are sold anywhere, I mean, abroad. Then I read some articles that not only in our countries, let's say it's not sold, but also in the United States and probably in Europe. So what is the reason why it's not exported, or what is the reason why it's not popular, or why it's not sold in Europe, let's say so?
Well,
In the world.
as I explained in the presentation, Croatia still produces small quantity of wine, and most of that wine is being sold in Croatia and brought by Croatians or in restaurants by travelers. You know, there wasn't a surplus, a lot of wine quantity to export it. Also, as I said, we produce mostly indigenous wine sorts, which are not really well known outside of Croatia. That is now changing because of the, you know, travelers coming from all over the world. For instance, United States. There are now companies that export Croatian wine there in all of the United States, because more and more people are coming to Croatia, tasting the wine, and want to drink it when they return throughout the year because they find it really, really good. So now I think the next phase of Croatian marketing, as you will, of wine will be to start to export it, and again, it takes years because you know, the wine production needs to be expanded as well.
I see. This situation resembles me, Switzerland. They also have very good wines, but you cannot find Swiss wines everywhere, only in Switzerland, because the capacity is not so big. Anyway, one of the reasons I read is that...
Александр, могли бы вы нам пояснить, может быть, по-русски, пару слов про вина, про экспорт, да, чтобы всем остальным тоже...
Хорошо. Ну, то есть ситуация такая, что вы не найдете, я извиняюсь, вы не найдете хорватские вина где бы то ни было за рубежом, кроме как Хорватия. Это объясняется тем, что количество этого вина производится только достаточно для Хорватии, там, для туризма, для ресторанов и для внутреннего потребления. Его недостаточно, чтобы экспортировать. Но, тем не менее, тенденция как бы идет к тому, что там американцы приезжают и хотят импортировать эти вина. То есть, для этого нужно увеличить количество вин. И эта ситуация мне напомнила Швейцарию тоже. Когда я был в Швейцарии и дегустировал вина, то оказалось, что швейцарские вина не продаются за рубежом, их только-только хватает на саму Швейцарию. То есть вот эта вот ситуация напоминает именно Швейцарию. И еще я слышал такую версию, я сейчас задам вопрос Нену, что проблема в том, что эти вина, во-первых, не знают, да, там они произносятся, и хорватский язык, там много согласных, и их очень сложно произносить. Then one of the versions I read is that Croatian wines are very difficult to pronounce. There are so many consonant sounds, yeah, and for foreigners it's a bit problem. I don't know, Plavi Malac and others to pronounce it. So maybe is it really one of the reasons it's not known or difficult for pronunciation?
Maybe. I mean, there is a wine called Grk in Croatia, which doesn't have any vowels at all. There are, you know, it's a combination of factors why. Again, we were also part of Yugoslavia, which was a communist country, and then the wine production was basically governed by the country, the huge conglomerates. So, you know, it was the goal of production was to produce much more wine, lower quality, and that everybody, you know, it's easily accessible. So the exporting was not one thing that they were considering. So, you know, we are competing with countries that have decades of branding in that regards, like Italy and Spain and France and Portugal. It will take time for Croatian wines to be becoming more popular to be exported. It takes time to increase the production. Croatia now has a much smaller production than it had a couple of centuries ago or a century ago when phylloxera hit. So, you know, it takes time to invest, to bring those old vineyards back and to clear the land again and to plant and to produce more wine. But I'm sure it's coming.
Да, нужно значительное время для того, чтобы посадить, вырастить и увеличить производство хорватских вин. Оксана Цай. Значит, Оксана, вы знаете, мы думали сделать презентацию хорватских вин в Москве. Это, думаю, планировали на июнь. Мы даже там нашли ресторан, который сервирует хорватскую, сербскую там кухню. Но, значит, в тот период там были проблемы с передвижением и так далее, поэтому, значит, не удалось. Но как бы эта тема, она у нас существует, и я надеюсь, что мы ее реализуем. Но, к сожалению, хорватский, как туристический офис, в этом нам, я бы не сказал, что там достаточно сильно помогает, по большому счету. Все основано на личной инициативе. I'm talking about that we were thinking about making presentation of Croatian wines in Moscow, and actually it was planned in June together with Meneghetti, with Maslina, but due to some reasons, because of this COVID and transportations and flights, restrictions, visas, and things like that, it was cancelled. But we do hope that we can make it. And и последнее, что я хотел сказать, уже заканчивая презентацию Нена, we have, okay, in Russian. Мы с Неной сейчас разрабатываем программу посещения вин, винно-гастрономический тур по Хорватии. То есть он сейчас как бы в стадии разработки такой окончательной. Поэтому, если вас интересует, мы вам вышлем, девочки, модераторы напишут имейл, и мы вам вышлем этот имейл. Причем как бы мы его сделаем так, что можно присоединяться к этой группе. Группы небольшие, там 8 человек условно, и можно с разных регионов как бы сделать и посоединиться в одном месте и стартовать. Сейчас он там в стадии разработки, он выслал, я там кое-что корректирую, собственно говоря. Поэтому мы такое, собственно говоря, вам вышлем, посмотрите, для тех, кого это интересует. Okay, Nena, thank you very much. I talk about this wine and gastronomy tour, which we are preparing for with you. And if they're interested, they can send us an email and we will send it. And we're in the process still of finalizing. It is planned in September. Anyway, now I would like to pass the next word to the next speaker. It will be, I think, okay, Maslina and Hvar wine, yeah? I would like to present Zoran Pejovic, who is the Director of Business Development of Maslina Resort on the island of Hvar. And he's also the co-owner of, or co-founder of Hvar Wine. I think it's association. We would like to know more about Hvar and the Maslina Resort. Zoran, are you here? Okay.
Александр, к нам подключается Зоран, буквально пару секунд, он подключится. Зоран, okay, we're here, you can continue.
Hi, Zoran.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you, we see you.
That's less important. It's more important that you hear me.
Okay. So I presented you, please, you're welcome to tell us about Hvar wines and about Maslina, of course. By the way, in Russian, I'm sorry, Maslina вообще сейчас, Maslina Resort, вообще сейчас в зарубежной прессе, в американских, в английских, во всей международной признан одним из лучших отелей, вообще как бы вновь появившийся, одним из лучших в Хорватии, и не только в Хорватии, но, думаю, по-моему, и в Европе. Okay.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, all right, very well. All right, Alexander, thank you for this opportunity to present Maslina Resort and to talk a little bit more about wines from the island of Hvar to our colleagues, and I will try to divide the presentation into parts to talk a little bit about Maslina and what we have been doing over the past 5 years in preparation of the opening of the property, and then I will move on a little bit more in details and specifics about the wines. Maslina means olive, and that really speaks to the essence of our Mediterranean identity. There has been plenty of olive trees on the property, and like Neno said, the history of olive making, winemaking dates back at least 2,400 years. We think it's a bit longer, but let's stick with that number for the time being. The tagline of the property is mindful luxury, as we try to combine the concept of mindfulness and the luxury at the same time. And this mindfulness actually has a lot to do with exactly presenting the local ingredients and local producers to the guests. And all of the winemakers that I will be mentioning later on are featured at the Maslina Resort wine list, and also their products can be found on the Hvar Wine web shop. The Maslina Resort is member of Relais and Chateau, and as of end of May, it's member of Virtuoso, and it has received Condé Nast Traveler Best Hot List 2021 and Travel and Leisure It List 2021. The property itself, I will go through a few images for you to see, but let's first just ensure that everybody knows where we are located. Hvar Island is in the heart of the Adriatic. It's in the Split Aquatory, and as Neno said, Split is our largest coastal city, and it has good connections to all of the islands. And if you're going from Split to Hvar Island, it takes you about 2 hours with a ferry and 1 hour by catamaran. But for example, Maslina Resort has its own private boats, and it can bring you directly from the airport or from this old town of Split to the property directly in about 1 hour. If you're driving, these are some distances. The driving distances, I'm not sure if anybody is driving really from Belarus to Croatia, but this is just to give an indication. And in flight time, Split has good flight connections, and it will probably take around 2.5 hours flight time. Like I said, we are in the heart of the Adriatic, and Hvar is I don't think it's just my opinion, but it is our most important island, and I will touch upon that as we go through the presentation. The Maslina Resort is located in the town of Stari Grad, which literally means old town, as you would probably understand in Russian as well. And it's 2,400-year-old town. It's actually the oldest settlement on Eastern Adriatic, and it's considered to be one of the oldest continuously inhabited towns on Eastern Mediterranean. And the property is located in the walking distance from the old town. As you can see, Hvar Island is kind of shaped like a cigarette, or a very, very long and narrow island that stretches quite a bit from east to west, and it takes about 1 hour 15 minutes to get from the most eastern point, Sučuraj, to Stari Grad, and 1.5 hours to get to Hvar town. Hvar town is a bit more famous, and it's something that the colleagues might know a bit more about, because it's famous for its nightlife, restaurants, hotels. In the summer, it's full of yachts, and whereas where we are on the north side of the island in Stari Grad, it's a bit more peaceful, and we are at the entrance of the Stari Grad plain, which is one of the UNESCO UNESCO protected heritages of the island. So when I said earlier that Hvar is our most important island, that was meant because it has 7 different UNESCO protections. We consider it to be the sunniest island in Europe, and we have this amazing wine producing history. Just a few more words about the property itself. It's in the walking distance to the ferry port. The main hotel building, as you can see it here, plus 3 villas, a spa located in a separate building, plus a beach bar, and then walking distance along the bay, you reach into the end of the bay, where there is a small beach and organic garden where most of the herbs and some of the vegetables are produced for the property. So the property itself is kind of very close to everything, but still remote in terms of there is no neighbors. The idea of the hotel was to create this a low visual impact, and the property itself feels like it's just literally growing out of the forest. The most important facility is the Pharmatic Spa, which has 5 treatment rooms, an aquathermal area with 3 different steam rooms and saunas, gym and beauty salon. Property itself has 50 rooms, plus, as I mentioned, 3 villas, 33 of those 50 that are all located in the main hotel building. 33 are rooms, 17 are suites. They are starting at 42 square meters, so quite spacious for European standards. And then the villas range between 3 and 500 square meters. All the rooms have sea views. Most of them have these unobstructed panoramic sea views, and all of the rooms have their own private outdoor areas, balconies, lodges, or terraces, so you can enjoy your own bottle of wine outdoor on the terrace. Just a couple of images to give you the idea of the interior. The villas are, this is the Villa Oala, first row to the sea, with large open living room, and the private pool. All 3 villas have their own private pools. The Abbey Beach Bar, which is a second restaurant at the property, which is offering a more casual dining, first row to the sea, kind of evening sunset bar vibe with the evening cocktails, and really a perfect place to just also just enjoy a glass of evening wine. There are several beach options, so the guests can choose either to stay on one of the pebble beaches or the small sandy beach that we have access to in the Maslenica Bay, or these wooden platforms. And I mentioned already that we have a garden where we grow some of our vegetables and herbs, and it's really an essential part of the property, and it's something that again sets apart Maslina Resorts from many other places. And all the herbs that are produced here go also into the spa, and there is a concept that we call garden to skin at the spa, where we use for the treatments. There are 2 main pools in front of the hotel. The main restaurant, which is offering a modern Mediterranean cuisine, currently with chef Serge Golomez, who used to have a Michelin star on the Côte d'Azur. And actually, I think, Alexander, you said you know Serge. You actually had him come to Minsk for one gourmet dinner back in the day, and I hope we can repeat that very soon as well. All right, the bar. Okay, so we are entering now the story about what is actually to do on the island, and most of the things that, at least at Maslina Resort, we promote have to do with what we call group of activities, culture and wine. So it can be visits to the winemakers, visits to the olive oil producers, visit to the essential oil producers, visit to the lavender fields. Just early July, we had a lavender harvest, so the guests could come and be part of that experience as well. So as I said again, and as Neno mentioned as well, the history of winemaking and olive oil making dates back at least 2,400 years. And this is the image that really introduces the importance of island of Hvar and Stari Grad and Stari Grad Plain. This is Stari Grad Plain. It's the oldest parcelization, oldest known Greek parcelization existing in the world, and this entire plain shows the way how it was parcelized, and to this date these walls still stand, and as I said, that's why it's under UNESCO protection, and quite a few of these parcels today are under the vineyards, and they produce almost all of the wine making on the island, and not just wine making but wine growing, is done by hand. So there is no machinery. Everything is done in a traditional way, mainly because of the very steep hills on the south side where these wines are located. So if you see this image, these are very old wines, and they are on a very, very steep hills going directly into the sea. And in this way, they can be only harvested. The grapes can be, or the wines can be maintained, and the grapes harvested and picked only by hand. There is a number of winemakers on the island that I would like to mention, but I will start with a very, very good friend of mine, Evo Dubocovich. He comes from a long tradition of winemaking, and actually this is an image from his cellar that has been in his family for a long time. And Evo is something of an icon in terms of Dalmatian and Croatian wine production. He produces amazing red wines, but moreover, he's actually somebody who produces macerated orange wines, and that's why we like to say that island of Hvar has all the wine colors. We have the white wine, we have the rosé wine, the orange wine, and the red wine. So just for those who are not familiar, but you might be all, but just to ensure, the orange wines are the white wines produced using kind of the red wine making techniques. So that means that the grapes are not separated from the must right after pressing, but actually the must is left to macerate on the grapes anywhere between 3 and 300 days. This is an extreme example here in this barrel, in this bottle where it has been the grapes have been macerating in the wine for about a year. And that's something. This is the producer Evo Dubocovich in his vineyard on the south side of the island, in a famous Medvedbod position, which is one of the most famous vineyards for producing Plavac Mali. So I brought here just for you to show you a couple of to give you an idea of a few of the labels. Here, actually, this one, the third one, I don't know actually why this is in this order, but it doesn't matter. So the third wine here is called Moj otok, which means my island, and this is really a blend of local grape varieties, Maraština, Kuč, Perč, and Bogdanusha, and this is really the essence of all the island white grape varieties, because the island produces both white and red, as I said, and these wines have been macerated for a while on the skin, so they produce these wines that are very intense in color, more orange than white, and can age much longer than the regular white wines, and are for the people who are not very experienced. Often they think that there is something wrong with the wine because they lack that aromatics and freshness that you would expect with regular whites. But actually, truly beautiful wines, especially great with some local octopus under the cooked under the bell, or maybe some other, also some meats real under the bell and similar. It really holds well with those complex dishes. And then there are three reds here. One is called 2718 Hours of Sunshine in a Bottle, and 2718 Hours of Sunshine in a Bottle is a Plavac Mali, 100% Plavac Mali. And what the name of the wine means is that this is the average number of hours that this grape gets a year in the vineyards on the south side of the island. So if you want to calculate, that's actually quite a lot of hours of sunshine, over 2,700. It's the entry-level red from Dubocovich, and it's a great introduction to the Plavac Mali and red wines of the island. And then if you move to a bit more intense and complex wines, we have here Medveditsa and Medvid. They are both coming from that position where I showed you, where Evo was standing in this vineyard on Medvid boat. So both of these wines come from that vineyard. They are aged in Medvid is aged in the new oak barrels, combination of a French and American oak. The current vintage on the market is 2015, and this is considered to be one of the icons of Croatian red winemaking. And Medveditsa is from the same vineyard. It's just a different stylistic production, because it doesn't age in the new barrels but in the old barrels. So it has less of those woody aromas, and it offers more primary grape aromas and more freshness. This is an interesting story. Another winemaker that I would like to present. Her name is Joa Hearn. She's actually doesn't have any history with Hvar or Croatia. She's a master of wine from UK that has decided some 10 years ago that she wanted to make wines on the island. As in her world travels, she decided that Hvar is one of those perfect places for making wine. And Joe has been for a number of years now producing some of the most amazing wines that you can currently find from Croatia. She makes Poship. She makes another white or orange wine called Wild Skins, which is stylistically similar to that wine of Evo Dubocovich that I mentioned, Otok, which is a blend of different white grape varieties, macerated for a longer time on the skin in order to extract the tannins and the color into the wine. And it's one of my favorite wines currently from Croatia. And there are two reds. One is Joa Hearn Plavac Mali Southside. This is the one to the far right of your screens. It's wine, same like Medvid. Grapes are picked on the south side, hand picked, hand selected, and then produced in the cellar of Joa Hearn. Current vintage is 2015 as well. And then Joa has an interesting wine called Terence Patrick. She wanted to create a wine that is a bit more. So the thing is with all these red wines from Dalmatia is that you can always expect them to be high in alcohol, high in tannins, and this is very simple because we get so much sunshine. Sunshine usually means more sugar. More sugar means more alcohol. Also, sunshine means thicker skins. Thicker skins means deeper color and means more tannins. And then she wanted to create some a bit lighter wine, and this is called Terence Patrick, and it's actually a blend Darnekusha, which is one of the old autochthon grape varieties on the island, plus the white grape varieties of Marashtina and Bogdanosha. So it's kind of an interesting play where she blended reds and the whites to create this red wine. The whites are adding some freshness and acidity and the different aromatics, and then the Darnekusha holds adds the tannins and the alcohol. And then a true kind of currently a grandfather of today's Hvar winemaking, Andro Tomic, in his vineyard in the vicinity of Jelsa, who has an amazing wine cellar and who is probably most famous of the living Dalmatian winemakers. And he's famous for his Plavac Mali. He's probably the biggest connoisseur. He has the largest knowledge on how to take care of Plavac Mali to produce amazing wines. He's going from the kind of simple this blue label Plavac from 2017, currently 2018 on the market, to the Plavac Mali barrique that has been aged in French barrique barrels. That is one of the best example of Dalmatian Plavac Mali. So actually that would be, I think you guys told me 20 minutes. I have gone to 22, so I hope that that answers or some of the questions about Maslina and about Hvar winemaking. And if you have any questions, Alexander, let me know.
Yeah, look, I have a question, Zoran. First of all, what is Hvar wine? What is it? What is the idea? What is the goal of Hvar wine? This is association, or this is a commercial enterprise?
It's a small commercial enterprise, a small business, with the idea of, for the time being, we just have a web shop where you can if you just Google hvarwine.com, you can find all these wines on a web shop. But the idea is to grow it to the next level as well, to offer tasting and maybe some activities on the island, because these winemakers are amazing in what they do. They're great in what they do in terms of wine production, but sometimes they need a bit of a help in putting together some activities so that the guests can enjoy both the tastings and the whole experience of the cellar. Okay,
we have also Meneghetti, but also one more question. Actually, in your presentation, I've noticed that you use French barriques, yeah? And at the same time, I know that in Slavonia, there is Slavonian oak, which as far as I know, French are using it. Why don't you use, for example, Slavonic oak, but instead French barrique?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. So you can use French barrels, but of Slavonian oak, and the production of the barrels. So we have in Slavonia great oak, but we don't really have good producers of the barrels. So most of the oak from Slavonia gets exported to Italy, and then Italians make barrels from the Slavonian oak. Even French make barrels Slavonian oak, because they have more and a longer experience in making barrels, in treating the wood, preparing it for the barrel production, and then the final treatments before the wine is put in. So especially this size barrique, that's the Bordeaux, typical Bordeaux size, 225 liters. So they really mastered this size. Traditionally in Slavonia, Slavonian barrel makers were not making barriques; they were making much larger barrels, couple of thousand liters to much larger, like even 10, 15, 20,000 liters. So really huge barrels.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we will pass, later on I will ask questions, but because of Meneghetti, he has another, in half an hour, he has another webinar. So probably we'll pass the word to Meneghetti. wine resort, wine hotels and winery to Ante Teklic. And later on, I will also have some questions later on, okay? Ante,
Okay,
please. Okay. Ante, you're welcome. Connecting probably. Okay, Ante, hi. Please switch on your sound. Yeah, okay.
Здравствуйте. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. So, Ante, I'm glad to present you. So, this is, это второе уже Реле Шато. Значит, гостиница Реле Шато. Москвина тоже Реле Шато. Итак, мы предоставляем слово Анте. Meneghetti Wine Hotel and Winery. Okay, you're welcome, Ante.
So, just briefly, Dobry dan. Здравствуйте from Istria region. We are a hotel, wine hotel and winery, 5-star hotel members of Traveler Made and Relais Chateau. And we are a small hotel of only 40 units, but spread on a really big area, which means 12 hectares, so 120 square meters. From those 12 hectares, we have approximately almost 5 hectares of our vineyard and additional 1.5 hectare of the olive grove. We are located at one small peninsula called Istria. May I ask you just to allow me? Exactly, thank you. We are located into Istria region, which is right, as you can see in the first photo on the left, top left. We're located right next to Italy, Slovenia, which means that we have that mostly of, let's say, our first early clients, starting from year 2000, when this hotel was established and renovated for the second time. Our first clients were from the surrounding countries, because as you can see, for example, if you are using a car coming from Italy or from Austria or from Germany, there is no more drive than 4 or 6 hours. But thanks to the new flights that we have on a daily basis from all over the Europe, there is a small airport in Pula, which is a little bit south of us, around 20 kilometers south. There is a really good connection with our property. We are located onto the west part, approximately 2 kilometers away from the sea, and mostly of our clients, when they're seeking for some kind of luxury, but also be surrounded by the nature, definitely they choose us, because by driving it takes 15-20 minutes either on the onto north or to the south to reach our, let's say, 2 main cities, mostly known cities in Istria region, which is Rovinj, which is considered as small Venice, and city of Pula, south of us, where the airport is, which is considered as, well, definitely it is a Roman city, because it was founded by the Romans in 46 BC, and due to so many Roman ruins, it's definitely one of the places which is a must see. We are members of Relais Chateau since 2013. And at that point, we were the first hotel in Croatia to be members of Relais Chateau, but also we were the smallest hotel at that point, because we had only 4 rooms. In 2016, we started with a new phase of adding more accommodation units. So in 2016, we added 26 more units. In 2019, additional 10, and currently at the end of the season we'll start the 3rd phase, which is going to be the final phase, when we're going to add additional 6 more units, and it's going to be a total capacity of 50 accommodation units, depending also their size. It's very much varies, because we have them from 28 up to 225 square meters. I would just like to give you a perspective where we are located. As I mentioned, 2 kilometers away from the sea, which means that we have also a beach, Meneghetti Beach Bar, and on daily basis we have a shuttle service for all of our clients, driving to the beach and back, where we provide them a space, and of course they can have a really good taste of our products, starting from our wines, olive oil, and of course our cuisine. As you can see on the photo, I think we are very proud to say that we are at one of the rare places in the entire world that has an amphitheater inside of the vineyard, mostly because it wants to be unique, also to be some kind of homage to the Romans, and of course amphitheater in Pula, but also since the entire territory there is just a limestone, almost zero soil. At this location where the amphitheater is, there's a sinkhole, and from that sinkhole we managed to take all the soil to put it all around, because we at the year 2000, when the current owners, Mr. Pliša and his wife, Ms. Kajfeš, had bought the property, there was just a small vineyard and really teeny tiny olive grove. So in order to enhance it, to make it even bigger, we needed more soil. So this is the reason why this sinkhole was our perfect location to extract all the soil and to make our vineyard even bigger. From the second slide, you can see from different perspective of how the Meneghetti looks like. So where my pointer is, here is the main hotel building with the restaurant, bar, and of course spa center, while all around it's there spread the residences, the highest category, up to the villas, which have either private garden and terrace or a private pool. Currently, we are working onto the new winery, which is going to be just on the opposite side of the property, which is going to be on 15,000 square meters size, and it's going to be total new production because current wine cellars are too small, and each year we have every year we have bigger and bigger harvests, so which means more fruit, which means more wine. Just briefly about our accommodation, as I mentioned, we have currently 10 rooms and suites in 30 residences. The rooms are the size between 28 and 42 square meters. We have 7 of them, while our suites are the size of 64 square meters. We have 3 of them. All 3 of them, they have a private terrace, which means that you can have either view onto the vineyard or onto the vineyard and olive grove, so depending on the allocation. Most of the clients like those kind of accommodation because imagine that you come at our hotel in October, November, and when it's a little bit chilly outside in the evening, when you're in your, you just need to put your slippers, little bit of bikini or whatever, and enter directly from the hotel into the spa center where we have an indoor heated pool. Definitely for more privacy and in this COVID situation to be a little bit away from, to have even more space, definitely we suggest our residences that are the size of 75 square meters, so 1-bedroom residences. They can have either private pool or private terrace and garden, and they are duplex, which means on the ground floor you can find a living room, while on the upper floor in the high loft there's a bedroom with a bathroom. If you have, let's say, if you have clients, let's say 2 couples or small families, let's say 2 adults and 2 children, that they want more space, then we suggest definitely our 2-bedroom residences with garden or with private pool, and they're the size of 150 square meters. So the same design, we keep in all the time, same design, but more spacious area. And of course, at the very end, we have our villas, which is a combination 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom residences, where you have 225 square meters of size, and they are excellent for bigger families, bigger groups, a group of friends, if they want some, if they want to have the privacy, organizing any kind of tastings, any kind of small events or so on. This is an excellent location, of course, excellent choice. Onto our property, we have 2 restaurants, 1 outdoor and 1 indoor restaurant. Our outdoor restaurant is called Oliveto, which serves lunch only. And since a number of our clients are staying at our hotel for at least 5-6 days, they don't want to have each day only fine dining. So in this Oliveto restaurant and lounge bar, we have more cozy, more lounge style of food, which means a lot of pastas, a lot of risotto, barbecue, so more traditional style, more closer to the Eastern cuisine, while our indoor restaurant Meneghetti, which serves only dinner, it has a Michelin recommendation. It is at Gourmet 15 points with 3 chefs' hats, so you can have either 5-course tasting menu or even private 10-course tasting menu, which is the 10-course tasting dinner, which is located into the private dining room, which guarantee to clients, either there are 2 or up to 6 of them max, that you're going to have a private sommelier on disposal and your own space where you can have a really nice time for at least 3 hours with those 10 courses. On our property, also, in addition, we have several other possibilities, such as 2 outdoor pools, one for adults only, the other one is suitable for families with their small children. We have, as I mentioned, indoor pool, but also we have our tasting room, which we are, let's say, mostly proud of, because we are producing currently 10 different labels of wine labels, and also we produce 4 different olive oil labels. I mentioned earlier on that regarding wines, that we have a vineyard, approximately almost 5 hectares on our property, but we have also one other vineyard, which is located north part of the peninsula of Istria, where the white soil is. Here, as you could see at the very beginning of our presentation, our soil is red, which means it's excellent for typical French winemaking, using Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Chardonnay, and white Pinot. While onto the northern part of the peninsula, where the white soil is, we have approximately almost 4 hectares of Malvasia. Malvasia is, I will say, almost indigenous grape variety. As Neno at the very beginning mentioned, thanks to the Greek and their colonies, we have olive oil and we have wine. So according to some of experts, Malvasia spread all around the Mediterranean from one small village / town in Greece called Malvasia, and due to evolution of the soil, due to evolution of the grape itself, it spread all around the Mediterranean, and our eastern Malvasia, it's considered as pearl of the pearls. So this is the reason why we plant them at the northern part, because the northern part of peninsula has a lot of minerals, and minerals are mostly, when you taste our Malvasias, they are really rich in taste, but also very refreshing. So from those 10 labels we are producing classic, our Meneghetti Classic, currently vintage 2017. Our Meneghetti Classic, it's a blend of Chardonnay and white Pinot, so 80% of Chardonnay, 20% of white Pinot, typical French method of making, which means when you serve it between 5 and 7 degrees, it gives a really nice kick into your mouth, really nice freshness, and it's excellent as any kind of appetizer. Also, it pairs very well with any kind of fish carpaccio, but definitely as an appetizer. Then we are producing Meneghetti Malvasia, current vintage 2020, which means 6 months in stainless steel tanks and additional 3.5 months into the bottle. We add just a little bit of Chardonnay inside in order to reduce the acidity and also to get more golden color of the wine itself. Then in cooperation with Mr. Glavic from Dubrovnik area, So there's a plane called Konavle. We have a really good, he's our good friend of the owner of Mr. Plishov, owner of the Meneghetti. Once in a while, he sends us by chilled lorry trucks at our property, where we produce in the same way as the Malvasia, but without adding Chardonnay. This Dubrovačka Malvasia has a little bit different taste into your mouth, and it's more fruity aroma. So we wanted to give our perspective to our clients what you can taste in two different Malvasias. And definitely the first one, the Meneghetti Malvasia, it's more refreshing, while this one, it's more fruity, it's more suitable for, let's say, if you have any kind of risotto's pasta, or even with a really simple fruit platter. Then we are producing Black Label Malvasia. Black Label Malvasia, it's a blend of two same Malvasias from the same vineyard, but with the two harvests. The first harvest was at the late August, which goes into the stainless steel tank, while in October, until October, we just leave onto the vines really nice bunches to get more sugar and a little bit reduced number of just to have more sugar in it. And this second harvest at the beginning of October goes into the brand new Slavonian oak of 2,000 liters, where it remains for 9 months. After 10 months in stainless steel and 9 months into the oak barrel, we'll blend them approximately 50% and an additional 14 till 15 months into the bottle. It has a really full aroma due to 9 months of the oak barrel, and also has this minerality. So it's a really full of taste. Mostly we like to pair them with traditional Eastern food, which means any kind of pasta or risotto with truffles, as Neno had at the very beginning of his presentation, but of course with any kind of white fish, it goes very, very smoothly. Then we have white. Our white, it's a blend of Chardonnay and white Pinot, 80 to 20%. And this is the only wine that was just a small amount of time into the stainless steel tank. At the beginning of the alcoholic fermentation, it goes directly into the brand new Slavonian oak for the finish of the alcoholic, and then for the malolactic fermentation. It's a typical French method of bâtonnage sur lit. And after 10 months of vinification, it is filtered, bottled, and additional 14 to 50 months in the bottle, which means that they are really creamy with the malolactic fermentation, and they are perfect for any kind of white fish, white meat, cheeses. So there are number of possibilities to pair with. Then we have our rosé. Our rosé, it's a blend, it is made of Merlot with a very short maceration. And this year, so last vintage 2020, showed us a really nice potential of freshness, of full of aromas with a little bit of kick of the strawberries in the aftertaste. Then we have Merlot. Merlot 2018, for which we had maceration of approximately 5 to 7 days, and then 9 months in used barrique barrels. And it's excellent as a summer. We call them a summer wine because it goes perfectly with any kind of dishes where you can find tomato, any kind of light stews, red meat. But of course, our pearl is definitely our red, 2016. Of course, we have older vintages, but currently this is the latest vintage of 2016 with 80% of Merlot, 15% of Cabernet Sauvignon, and 5% of Cabernet Franc. And definitely red, it has between 25 and 30 days of maceration, 2 years in brand new barrique barrels, and then additional 2.5 years into the bottle. This kind of wine, due to its complexity, it definitely has a really nice potential of aging, which means that in year 26 and 27, this current vintage of 2016, it's going to have its maximum, it's going to be at its top of quality. Also, as I mentioned, we are producing olive oil. Since we have only 700 trees at the property and around the property, we have a limited number of quantity. We produce around 1,200 liters of olive oil, but where we are proud of them because Izbor, which is Vodnjanska Buža, indigenous for this region, since year 2007, we won so-called an olive oil Oscar in the category of floral aromas. So with this olive oil, we are top. We are number one in the world in these categories for the last 14 years. We are producing around 120,000 bottles of between 110 and 120,000 bottles of wine per year. But with the new winery, which we presume is going to be, according by the plan, we're going to be a great opening on early October. We're going to have the capacity up to 180,000 bottles with much bigger wine cellars, and of course with more barrique and more oak barrels. So Alexander, I didn't want to trouble you too much. This is just briefly about our wines, about our property, about our olive oil, and I'm here for any kind of questions.
Thank you very much, Ante. Actually, from your presentation, I realized that this is a kind of paradise for wines. So many different wines, olive oils, and of course, gastronomy, not only Michelin recommended, but also Gourmet rated and things like that. And because that I see that maybe one question for you because of Istria. Actually, when I spoke with Croatians about regions and gastronomy, everybody says that Istria is the gastronomic, I don't know, paradise or gastronomic area, first of all. I want to understand why precisely Istria is considered to be a gastronomic, let's say so, area. Я задаю вопрос, почему Истрия считается гастрономическим раем именно в Хорватии, почему именно гастрономия известна. What are the reasons? I don't know. Maybe it's because of influence of Italy or something like this. I want to understand, because I know that in Istria is a big influence in cuisine of Italy, probably in wines. So what is your opinion about it?
Definitely, you had already had the answer. The mostly because we were, let's say, Istria Peninsula was under the Venetian rule for more than 500 years, around 70% of the territory, while 30% of the territory was under the Austrian rule. So with mixture of two, let's say, great competitors at that point, all of them wanted to bring something their best into the area and try to promote it very much in order to get more so-called more interest from the authorities to the locals, and definitely with Venetian so-called, let's say, later on Italian influence, we definitely, this is one of the reasons why we are considered as a gastronomic paradise. Also, one of the reasons we are a car destination. So Italians, Austrians, Germans, Swiss, even French clients, they can easily access to us without using any kind of flight connections. So when you have so many clients that are coming from those countries that are also known as a gastronomic paradises, you need to rise your level all the time. You need to push yourselves constantly, meaning that you need to really like to match their expectations. Also, one of the things why we are so, I will say, very known among the European market are the, of course, wines and olive oil, but also truffles. Istria as a region, it's a truffle region. North part of the peninsula, the Motovun area where the white soil is, there are only, you can find black truffles almost all over the Europe. But the white truffles, which are considered as the best, you can find only in Italy, in Piemonte. You can find in Motovun area here in Istria, and just a glimpse into France because they had some issues with the climate and also because of industry development. So this is, I will say that those are the main reasons why we are considered as top.
I see, I understand. Actually, I know that you have also, I visited actually Zigante. This is a restaurant which is completely serving food with truffles. every dish, everything with even ice cream and things like that with truffles. Actually, you're famous, and the Istria is called a kind of Croatian Italy or Tuscany, yeah, Tuscany.
Exactly.
Yeah,
also
Tuscany.
because of the landscape, also
landscape as well. Yeah, landscape. It's very beautiful, very nice. I hope that one day probably we will make a presentation of very beautiful Croatian wines in Moscow or in Kiev. Either in Moscow or both in Moscow and Kiev, because this is the main markets, as speaking about Russian-speaking countries, for Croatia, for Croatian tourists. Yeah, for tourists.
Sorry to interrupt you. I also wanted to mention that since there is an airport in Pula, just 20 minutes drive from us, we have direct flights. So currently, with Kiev, with Ukraine, we have with Moscow. I think with your main airport, Shemeret, if I'm not Sheremetyevo, exactly, and also with St. Petersburg. So with those three cities, we have direct flights, which means you sit onto the plane. In 2 hours, you are in Pula. You just need 30 minutes drive to our hotel, and immediately you can start making any kind of tasting and, of course, pure relaxation. So in the middle, we like to joke a little bit that we are in the middle of nowhere, but also close to air. Exactly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ante. So
I really appreciate, and if you need anything, we are here. So I wish to you and your colleagues a really lovely and successful day.
Thank you very much.
Good.
So now we will. I have a couple of questions once more to the participants. Ante, you can go to the next webinar. Yeah. So actually, I have noticed to Neno and to Zoran probably. I have noticed that there are so many wine resorts and wine hotels are coming up.
Александр, давайте мы буквально минуточку подождем. Сейчас Зоран и Анте к нам подключатся, буквально несколько секунд. А вот уже все здесь, и можно начинать.
Ага, хорошо, окей. So just a couple of questions. First of all, I have noticed that there is a lot of, but still coming more and more wine resorts, wine hotels, wineries, more and more, and even Villa Corta Catarina and others, not only luxury, but also some kind of agriturismo. So I see this is the tendency. They are growing actually, yeah? The culture is coming up. What do you think about it?
Sorry, is the question for both of us or
for both of you? Yeah. Your opinion.
Okay, I don't know. I can jump in, if that's okay. So, we are going through a transition in terms of our touristic offering. It's been a long time, for decades, that on the Croatian coastline, especially, we were selling sea and sun only, and so it's two-way. One is the push from the modern traveler that are looking for more experiential, the experiential segment of the travel. They are looking to connect more with the local authentic offering, either a cuisine or winemaking or olive oil making or the culture, the history, all of these things. So there was the demand from that side, but then also there is the mere fact that there is very few things at which Croatia is so successful and has made such a big progress as in the winemaking and olive oil making. We can't say that we have cars. We actually don't produce any cars. We don't produce almost any technology. There is no more industry. There's very few things that you could say that Croatia exports to the world that is on the level of the world's best countries. But when it comes to wine and olive oil, we can stand up with the best out there. And then these producers have been already in the game, some for decades, some for 2, some even for 3, especially like in Istria and some of the winemakers that I mentioned from Hearn. They have been already producing things for 30 years, and they see what the other winemakers in the world are doing. They're connecting accommodation with the wine, because it's not anymore just to send wine out into the world. You want to create a whole experience of why this grape variety, why the wine here, what is the history, how it best paired with food. And then, so it's like, it's two ways, you know, two ways that is creating this movement where we are grounding our touristic offering more into the gourmet side of things and culture side of things. And when I say culture, I actually mean wine and olive oil, you know, because those are the two elements that have shaped the civilizations. The first historian, first Greek historian Thucydides, said that the people rose from barbarism when they learned to cultivate wine for grapes for wine and olives for olive oil. And this is really this is the essence of our identity. And I'm very happy that there is more and more hotels and agencies and agritourisms who are promoting this type of travel, because again, this is changing the seasonality. You know, if you're thinking about wine and olive oil, then the high season is not anymore July and August, it's September and October. You know, you want to come to be part of the harvest of olive picking, then you don't come in August, you come late September, early October, and then all of a sudden our season stretches another couple of months, or high season. There is always people who are coming in September and October, but this should really be the height of the season, when many parts of the world are already in October going down to 0, and on the Croatian coastline is still 20-22 degrees. It's not 40 like today, which actually I don't even like when it's 40. But when you come down, it's 2022, and you're part of the whole experience, and you join a family in a grape picking or olive picking, and you know, and have that whole experience, have a picnic in the vineyard or in the olive yard, and that's the way we promote the destination, because then people take with them something that's really unique and authentic to this part of the world.
Neno, can you what do you think? Can you add something to Zoran's opinion, or you think the same, or maybe something else?
Yes.
Hello?
I completely agree with everything Zoran said. And can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear. Not now.
Yeah, I agree with every here in that regard. All of these experiential things, and you know, the goal of Croatia should be moving with the modern trends and combining experiences. What the identity of the country is, it's so rich and can provide much. And again, in some regards, you know, COVID has hit all of the travel industry really hard, and it will take years to change the mindset of the travelers and more of these experiential and every region where they're traveling. So I think that in the long term, it will be for the best, for like sustainable tourism and you know, keeping the traditions alive and so on.
Mm-hmm. Connections is not so good. I understand your point of view. Look, okay. Thank you very much for participation. Well, actually, I do hope that probably in next year in Adriatic lecture, which will be held in Dubrovnik, we will make some kind of presentations for wines so that people or hosted by us could understand more about Croatian wines. I do hope so. So for the moment, then I switched to the Russian. Мы не разыгрывали вина, да? я обращаюсь к слушателям, поскольку отели хотели разыграть там бутылки вина, но вопрос в том, что транспортировки это является для нас как бы такой определенной проблемой. Вот, невозможно доставить вина из там Хорватии, и первый вебинар мы делали с Бургундии, там тоже возникли проблемы, что они не могли доставить вина выигравшим. Ну,
Александр, мы же можем всех участников нашего сегодняшнего вебинара пригласить на наше следующее мероприятие, которое будет в Хорватии, да, в мае следующего года, и там они вживую смогут попробовать хорватские вина и оценить их вкус и полюбить, как это сделали мы в этом году.
Yeah. So we thank you very much, Croatian colleagues, for your participation.
Yes, our Croatian colleagues, yes, it was a very good webinar devoted to Croatian wine. Thank you very much. Thank you, Zoran. Thank you, Nana. Thank you, Ante. Well, it was a very good, maybe even experience, yes, for our participants. Да, спасибо. Я благодарила наших участников, хорватских участников, потому что, ну, вот как для многих участников нашего мероприятия в Черногории, вот, хорватские вина – это открытие, да, это открытие. Тем более, да, мы видим, что они не представлены в странах СНГ, на постсоветском пространстве. И попробовать их можно именно пребывая в Хорватии, живя в таких отелях, как кто участвовал в нашей сегодняшней презентации.
So, thank you very much. Спасибо всем.
Да, еще раз большое спасибо всем нашим участникам. Мы